Hi students, welcome to Sri Damodar Ragoji Memorial School online classes. This is for class 7th standard, subject is science. Okay. Students, today let us start new lesson, that is lesson number 12, reproduction in plants, that is it is the part of biology. So students, what is mean by reproduction? So, the process by which new individuals are produced, which is known as what? Reproduction. Okay. So, reproduction is one of the important life process and is essential for the continuity of species unlike other life process. So, that is respiration, nutrition, etc. Reproduction is not essential for the survival of an individual, but it is very necessary for the perpetuation and preservation of the species. Okay. So, the reproduction increases the number of members of a species and also preserves its kind. Okay. So students, most of the plants have roots, stems and leaves. These are what we call, that is vegetative parts of plants. Okay. So like human being reproduce new young one. Yes, like plants also reproduce. How? By the flowers. So flowers are the reproductive parts of plant. Okay, so here the vegetative parts of a plants means what? Through roots, stem, leaves, a new plant can be originated. Okay, so we can get a new plant by roots, stem and leaves of the plant. So these together which we are called vegetative parts. Okay. So students, next we goes to the mode of reproduction. Modes of reproduction. So different organism reproduce in different ways. Yes. So some animals which gives birth and some animals which lays egg. Okay. So these are what the different modes of a reproduction. Students, here the different organisms reproduce in different ways, but all these ways, modes of reproduction can be put into two general categories. What are those? One is sexual reproduction and another one is what? Asexual reproduction. Okay, so here what is mean by sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction? So now let us discuss about the sexual reproduction. So here in sexual reproduction of a plants, male and female reproductive cells. Students, as you know that all living organisms are made up of small tiny units, that units which we are called cells. Okay, so human body, animals, plants, which are all the living beings, all living things which are made up of cells. Okay, so cells which we called as what? The basic unit of all living organisms. Okay, so here in us, that is in sexual reproduction of a plant, male and female reproductive cells are involved. So these female and male reproductive cells, so the cells which helps to reproduce a new young one, so that is such type of a cells which we are called what? Reproductive cells. So here we can see both the male reproductive cells and female reproductive cells. So these male and female reproductive cells collectively which we are called what? Gametes. So in the process of sexual reproduction, a male and a female gamete fuse. Fuse means join together and to form a single cell which we called as what? Zygote. So by the formation of zygote, a new individual can be produced. So this zygote gradually develops and grow into adult similar to the parents. So this all that we can see in sexual reproduction. Okay, so here in plants how the sexual reproduction occur? So in sexual reproduction, new plants are produced from seeds. Okay, so in seeds also we can see how these seeds are formed. These seeds are formed by the two individual cells like male and female parent cells fused together form a zygote. This zygote, which is again covered by a layer, after the formation of new individual, that we called it as what? A zygote, that is a seed. So seeds which is formed by two cells. Just you understand only this much, that is how seeds are formed. Seeds are formed by the male and female reproductive cells. Okay, so these male and female reproductive cells together form a zygote. Okay, so after the development of a zygote, that seeds will be formed in a plant. That about this we will discuss in this lesson only, in the next video. Okay, now let us discuss about what is mean by asexual reproduction. Okay, so sexual reproduction means what? In sexual reproduction, new plants are produced from the seeds. Okay, it involves both male and female cells. What is mean by asexual reproduction? So asexual reproduction means a new plants form without the help of seeds. Okay, asexual reproduction, new plants which form without the help of seeds, means here in asexual reproduction, sex cells, which we called it as what? Gametes, okay, are not produced. Here we cannot see two cells, male and female reproductive cells, that we cannot see in asexual reproduction. So no such a fusion of gametes takes place for the production of their offspring. Offspring means what? Their young ones. Okay, so in asexual reproduction, the new plants are produced without the production of seeds. Okay, so this is mean by asexual reproduction. Just you understand that sexual means the reproduction. In this reproduction, new plants are produced from the seeds, and sexual reproduction involves both female and male gametes. But asexual reproduction, the new plants are produced without the help of seeds, means here no male female gametes that we can see, means it is a single cell, it is a double cell. Okay, it reproduce with the help of single cell, this reproduce with the help of both male and female cells. Okay, so this is about what? The reproduction and its types, that is sexual, and the mode of reproduction, that is asexual and sexual reproduction. Now in this class we will learn about more about that is what? Asexual reproduction. So what is mean by? You have already learnt about asexual reproduction, that is in plants there are different types of the plants produced without the help of seeds. Okay, so in this also we can see different kinds of different mode of reproduction. They are what? Vegetative reproduction, budding, fragmentation, and spore formation, etc. Okay, so let us learn one by one of asexual reproduction. The first one is what? That is vegetative propagation. So students, in this method the new plants are produced from the vegetative parts like, so as I told you that what are the vegetative parts of the plants? That is root, stem and seeds, means through this only the new plants can be grow. Through this the new plants can be formed. Okay, so these are what? The vegetative parts of the plants. So this method which we are called vegetative propagation, means the new plants are produced from the vegetative parts like root, stem or leaves. So for example students, if the stem cutting of a rose, okay, the stem cutting of a rose plant or a money plant is planted in the soil, means we can get a new plant. Okay, even some of other plants like hibiscus, okay, some other plants, when we cut the stem of that plant and we planted in the soil, means we will get a new rose plant, money plant. Okay, so this is how the through stem the new plant can be reproduced. Okay, next one is what? Potato has a small buds called, which we called as eyes. Okay, if a part of potato with an eye is cut and planted in the soil means we get a new plant. If a part of a ginger is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. So this is how through the stem we can through the stem we can get the new plant, or through the roots we can get a new plants. And also students, that is bryophyllum. What is this bryophyllum? It is a type of a plant. So what is the speciality of this bryophyllum means, students? So these bryophyllum leaves when dried means these leaves have a bud like a structure on their leaves. Okay, so if a part of a leaf with a bud is planted in the soil means we can get a new plant. So students, here I told you that leaves are one of the vegetative part through which a new plant can be produced. So here is an example for this. That is what the bryophyllum leaves have the capacity to reproduce new plant. Okay, so if another one, that is if a part of a cactus plant is planted in the soil, we can get a new plant. So students, that is how the plant can be reproduced by the vegetative parts, that is leaves, stem, and also seed, that is root. Okay, through root only, by the root also we can get a new plant, and also by cutting stem and planted in the soil means we get a new plant. And also leaves. So for these leaves, we here is an example, that is what bryophyllum. Okay, so when we plant these bryophyllum leaves means we get a new plant. Okay, so this is what we called vegetative propagation. So in this method we can see the new plants are produced from the vegetative parts like the root, stem, or leaves. Okay, so understood, students? Next we will go to another one type of asexual reproduction, that is what? Budding. Here is also the some of the example, students. Stem cutting of a rose, we can get a new plant. Okay, and also the money plant. So potato plants have a sprouted up from ice, so from this also we get a new plant. And also ginger with the new plants, we throw the root, we can get a new plants. Okay, so here is bryophyllum, students. Here observe the leave this bryophyllum leaf without a new plant, that is with the new plants. So when these leaves are dried and fallen on the earth means, and when these are planted in the soil means we can get a new plant. Okay, here is another one example, that is cactus is another one example for the leaves. Okay, reproduction. Next is what? The budding. So it is one of the method of asexual reproduction. Okay, so budding means what? Plants such as unicellular organism, that is called yeast. Okay, students, in this method a small projection called as bud, which is formed on the yeast cells. Okay, so yeast means what here, students? Yeast means it is a small microorganism. Yeast is a microorganism, and also you might have heard this word in baking. Okay, while doing baking in bread, while making cakes and bread, these yeast will be used. Okay, it is a type of a microorganism. So these yeast cells have a bud like a structure. So the bud grows and becomes a new yeast cells. So the new yeast cells also grows and produces more yeast cells. Okay, so these microorganisms produce a bud like a structure. These bud to be have the capacity to reproduce a new young one. Okay, it can able to grow a new young yeast cells. Okay, so yeast cells, keep it in mind, these are a type of a microorganisms. So the process of reproduction in yeast cells is what? That is budding. Okay, so students, here the plants unicellular, it is called as unicellular. Unicellular means what? Uni means single. Okay, these yeasts are made up of a single cell. Okay, in this microorganism we can only see one cell. In one cell only the all activities to be done in this. Okay, so the bud grows and gets detached from their parent plant and form a new plant. Okay, so this is one of the type of sexual reproduction. Next, another one, students, that is what? Fragmentation. So fragmentation, it is in this method the plants break up into two or more fragments, and each fragment grow into a new plants. So students, when the plants break up into two or three parts, means that each separated part becomes grow a new individual. Okay, that is which we are called fragmentation. For example, students, like spirogyra, alga, when these spirogyra and alga are the type of a plants which breaks up into two or more fragments, means each fragment grows into a new individual. Okay, so this is one of the type of asexual reproduction. So another one reproduction, that is what? Spore formation. What is this spore formation? The spores are asexual reproductive bodies. For the survival, each spore is covered with the protective coat with protective to withstand an unfavorable conditions such as high temperature and low humidity. So students, in this method what happens? The fungus which produces spores. So here the structure of fungus is also another one type of a microorganism, and which produces the spores on its surface of the plant. Okay, so these spores, when these spores, what happen? These spores, the germinate and it produces a new plants. When we germinate these spores in the soil, means we get a new plant. Okay, so spore formation means what? Some of the organism which produces spores on their surface of the body, and these spores which germinate in the plant, means we can which can produce a new plant. So what are the example for spore formation? That is what? Fungus. Okay, fungus is an example for spore formation. So this is about what? The types of asexual reproduction. What are those? That is vegetative propagation, budding, and fragmentation, and another one is what? Spore formation. So these are the these are the different mode of asexual reproduction. Okay students, so this is the one of the part of your lesson. Then continuation of this lesson we will see in next video. If you have any doubt on this topic, means just text me. Okay, thank you.